You may or may not be the last podcast in this setup.
What are you doing?
So I've had a couple people that we've talked to and done some polling, if you will, to get a feel for, what thoughts are. And one of the things that I always notice is, so we got these chairs for free, courtesy of Capital Title. Shout out to Julie. She hooked us up. They were getting rid of these chairs, and at the time we had kind of just moved in here and we needed them, and they've served their purpose, to say the least. But the one thing I'm always noticing is that I'm always kind of like getting comfortable and leaning back, and then my like fat gut is out, and it's not a look I'm into. So then I try to sit up straight, but then it's like not really conducive to the style of chair, and then I find myself leaning back, and so that was the first thing that kind of sparked the interest.
I feel it,
yeah. So then that kind of sparked the interest in, okay, maybe what we should do is, revamp the setup. Not only that, but come July, it's going to be 3 years with this exact setup. We started it in another office, but you can barely even tell the difference.
It's the blue. It's very,
right.
It catches the eye.
Well, so then I started asking people about the blue and should I switch it and everything like that. And surprisingly, I thought a lot of people were going to say, yeah, switch up the blue. And shockingly, a lot of people were like, no, I think it's your brand. Because one of the things about it is when you do the edits, people's faces are zoomed in on, and therefore it doesn't really matter what's in the background as much. You're only going to see like what's, directly around it. So we could create a better ambiance maybe for our guests, but from a recording standpoint, it doesn't make a difference. So like, no, keep the blue. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't expect that, but cool. And so I came up with a concept, and a lot of people seem to like it. So we just purchased like a really, really expensive coffee machine.
Okay.
Like espresso, makes cold brew. It was pricey, and it should be here. I would envision next week.
We should have scheduled this next week then.
You should be doing this at least, once a quarter,
yes.
Maybe even once a month. So hopefully you do that and you'll be back soon. But I said, I kind of want to do a high top table, because I started to think about it. I'm like, where do most people meet? They meet in coffee shops. Where are they connecting? They're usually these like high top tables, and you get your coffee and you do your thing. I said, what if I could replicate that and record it? So we got the fancy coffee maker, and what I think we're going to end up doing is going in that corner, which is behind you. We're going to do a 2-top, high-top table with high-top chairs, still do the zoom-in thing, so you're not going to see feet or anything along those lines, but I think it's going to force people to sit up. It's going to be a little more intimate, and I think it's just going to look cooler.
I like the vibe.
Yeah, and then we're going to encourage people to, have a cup of coffee, and then this way it's up to you. You want a latte, you want a cappuccino, you want a cold brew, you want a cortado, you just want drip, you want decaf. We can do it all, and then maybe throw some tea in there. I don't know.
Matt's Coffee House.
Right, because, we originally set it up with the intention of having this table and being like, okay, we'll be able to have 4 guests on at a time.
Okay.
But I have learned that 4 guests is kind of stupid.
Why?
It's
too much talking, like over each other, or what?
Well, 2 people's ideal. 3 people is doable, but typically it's 2 people talking and then like 1 person interjecting like every 15 to 20 minutes. And then when you have 4 people, it's too much.
Yeah.
Right? It really is. And so I'm pretty much scrapping. I mean, I don't think we've done a 4-person podcast in over 6 months, maybe even a year. Now, 3 people podcasts happen.
If you're interviewing 2 people from the same company or something, then that probably works fine.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it happens. But when I'm interviewing 2 people from the same company, usually what happens is like one of them is the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
And the other one's just kind of sitting there. And it's like, we don't really need you here. Right? So what I envision for that is that we're going to start with the 2-top. And if I run into too many situations where, and I don't think I will, but if I'm running into too many situations where I feel like we need a 3rd seat, there is talks of on the other side here doing a couch and a chair setting so that we can just flip it. But either way, this table's out and these chairs are out, and that's all going down in the next 7 to 10 days.
Wow. So next time I'm here, it's going to be transformed.
I don't know if transformed is the word I would use, but it'll definitely be different.
And maybe a plant back here
That was the
in
other
the
thing. We're
coffee
gonna
shop.
get some fake plants.
Yeah, good mood setting.
It's on the list. Fake plants. I do kind of want to keep the lighting similar. I can change it a little bit, but I've just found that this lighting works really good. We've tried lots of different things, but yeah, that's new.
Mm-hmm.
But to move on to the top, I have so many topics. George
Let's do it.
Kalafut
Hello.
now with
eXp, yes.
So there's a big announcement.
Yes.
Right. We've changed brokerages, going cloud based,
Mm-hmm.
and I was one of the first to know because we ended up bumping into each other.
We
at
did.
eXpCon.
We did.
And
That
it
was still a
It
secret.
was a secret at the time, but I was blessed enough to know before everyone else. And you know what? I kept my mouth shut. No one found out. But here we are. We can announce it now. It's official.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's official.
So tell me a little bit
year.
about how's that been for you, and what's the experience been like?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I mean, at the end of the day, I still do all the same things, right? Different platform, some different people, but my business hasn't changed tremendously. I think there's a lot of good people that I've met that otherwise I wouldn't have. In fact, my CRM platform now is developed through an eXp agent here in Austin.
Okay.
Very custom to eXp.
Who is it? Can we say who it is?
Yes, it's Michael and Stacy Spikes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out.
Shout
Michael and
out
Stacy.
to Growth Suite Plus CRM.
Yeah.
Yes. But so far everything's been positive. Things move quickly. But at the end of the day, I'm still real estate agent, solo agent, out looking for business and servicing clients as I always would.
It's not the brokerage that makes the realtor; it's the realtor that makes the brokerage.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the brokerage could definitely fuel and power that agent with tools and assets that maybe others can't. But at the end of the day, it's up to the agent.
Sure. That was one of the things we were talking about right before we started recording was, ways that we can generate business. You brought up CRM, and I'd like to circle back on that here in a minute. I was talking about client appreciation events or just reaching out to clients and doing what I call annual reviews and all that kind of stuff. And it's something that I've always been pretty good at, but I think we can all be better at.
Yeah.
I've really gone hard on the writing handwritten cards, and I'm pleasantly surprised at the response that I'm getting. And if I'm being totally honest, I'm really surprised at how good it feels. That's kind of why I've been doing it more, because
Yeah.
I'm getting responses. I'm trying to be really mindful when I write them, and I'm getting really good responses from people who are, I mean, it takes a lot of time. I can't sugarcoat it. My goal has been, I was probably doing anywhere between 7 to 10 a week, and now I'm doing anywhere between 20 to 25 a week.
Wow.
Yeah, and I find that the best way to do it is to really just write down my interactions throughout the day, and I'll just, it's a lot easier to find people to write cards to than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
However, the task, I'd say I average 5 to 7 a day, and that can take a good 25, 30 minutes, but I'm running at, I will say postage is really
It's starting to eat the pocket.
I mean, it's not like it's super expensive, but it's wild, man. I mean, when you're doing 25 a week, I mean, I'm going through 100 stamps a month, and that's not something that I was used to. But
when I did Christmas cards and I went to buy stamps, I was like, I didn't realize stamps were this expensive.
Yeah, they're what, 78 cents now?
Every time I go buy some, they're more expensive than they were last time.
Well, I got these little magnet business cards now.
Okay.
Because I was just putting my business cards in, and I started thinking about it. And actually, because of Christmas time, my wife had gone and put everything up with for the Christmas cards with all the magnets. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know what? People actually do put things on their fridge, and if it's not on the front, maybe on the side. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of getting business cards, I'm going to go ahead and invest in, getting the magnets.
Yeah.
I haven't got much feedback yet. It's fairly new, but I'm hoping that, it's a good fit, and I find myself on a lot of people's refrigerators.
You need to find a way to get into their homes and see, Are they on the refrigerator or not?
Yeah, if you've got me on your refrigerator, take a picture and post it on social media. That would be fantastic, and then it would also let me know that the magnets are working.
Yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this. That's a better idea than finding a way into their home. Um, the response, are people calling you when they get a card? Or are they texting you? How's that interaction working?
Yeah, so when people are receiving the card, again, I'm not like getting a pre-printed card and then like, just signing my name. I'm putting something that shows that I actually wrote it, and then, kind of something that involves the situation or whatever that we experienced. And people are texting me back and saying, hey, I just got your card. That was, super kind, whatever have you. And when I was like just doing basic birthday cards, for example, or we all have our like newsletters that we send out via email and stuff, like I never would get text messages or phone calls from people that were saying like, oh, hey, thanks so much. I got your online newsletter. So the fact that people feel the need to go out of their way to, thank me for these cards makes me feel like not only are they, obviously they're viewing them, but that, it is like, I don't know if the word is meaningful, but like it's enough to make them kind of go, okay, that was cool.
Yeah.
So going back to client retention, I kind of brought up the card thing simply because it's just what I've been doing lately. But I always talk with agents because agents are the ones that, refer me a lot of business.
Right.
And the best way, in my opinion, to generate sphere of influence business is to reach out to your past clients.
Right.
Especially in this market right now. Unfortunately, I feel like a lot of the agents that I used to do business with are on like Zillow Flex. And so Zillow Flex has done a phenomenal job of like, generating leads and scaring the living shit out of real estate agents to not refer them to anybody other than Zillow Home Loans. Something I wish I could do. I mean, I've had lead shares with real estate agents quite a few times, and I could never scare them as much about pulling my money as Zillow can. I mean, whatever they're doing, I want their script because I've never been able to say to an agent, hey, if you don't keep sending me these deals, I'm going to pull that lead share.
Right.
But so because of that, I say, hey, listen. And and so the reason I bring this up is because agents have kind of said, hey, I'm doing all the Zillow stuff, and it kind of bums me out because Zillow takes a pretty hefty chunk out of the commission. And I say, look, as much as Zillow is like, hurting me short term in my business, I'm definitely guilty of using Zillow and buying leads and everything like that. And I don't think it's a bad thing. Where I really think people are missing the big picture is that if you're closing on a Zillow lead that you don't know this person, that's an opportunity to be reaching out to them, doing annual reviews, doing even post-closing reviews, and finding out who's your CPA, who's your financial advisor, who's your rock star roofing company, plumber, whatever have you. And if they don't have those, well, that's an opportunity for you to refer those people out. And if you're legitimately referring businesses out, well, then those businesses kind of owe you their referrals. And I'm always surprised when I have these conversations how many agents, number one, don't do this. Some of them, so the first step is some of them, I'm like, do you reach out to your agents like every, 2-3 months? They're like, no. Why would I reach out to my past clients every 2-3 months? Like, well, what do you mean? Like, what? And the ones, some of them say, yes, of course I do. And I'm like, do you try to capitalize on their sphere of influence? And they're like, no, I don't do that. And I'm like, what are we doing here? And the point I'm trying to make in all of this is the one thing I hear a lot of is I'll say, hey, why don't you reach out to so-and-so and see what's going on with them? And they'll say, oh, I called them and they didn't answer my call. And I have past clients. And so I reach out to them all the time, and I would be a liar if I said every single one of my past clients just picks up the phone. But what I always think about, and this is going to be the clip I'm going to post, I encourage every single real estate agent to not only contact every single one of their past clients every 90 days, like with a phone call, not a text message, not some CRM, generated newsletter, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's some big agents out there that have been doing this a while, but I would venture to say the average agent probably has only 50 past clients, maybe 100. That's not That's 2 days worth of calls.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys. Like, let's keep it real. And if those clients aren't returning your calls or answering the phone, I think you need to ask yourself why,
Yeah.
right? Because it means one of two things. Either A, they don't like you, right? Or they don't see value in taking your call. And so, number one, if they don't like you, I would like to know why. Because if I'm being totally honest, I think most of my past clients answer the phone not because they think I'm so valuable. They answer it because they like me. I'm a nice guy. I'm likable. I'm good to my clients. I follow up. I ask about, their lives and things. But if your clients aren't answering, why don't they like you, or why don't they see value in you? And if either one of those two things can't be answered with, a why that makes sense, then I can guarantee you they're not referring you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right? 100% chance that if they're not returning your call, it's because they don't like you or they don't value you, and 100% not referring you.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I do is I have a client, we closed on a home, and usually in maybe the next 60 to 90 days, I'll just follow up with them. And it's that first call that sets the precedence going forward, because I always get this. They're like, so did you need something?
Yeah.
No, just call to see how you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's the scariest part for anyone. It's like, well, what am I going to say? And it's like, well, you could say, yeah, I'm just calling to see how you're doing, and that's genuine and that's true. But I think it's also easy to think of things that you need to talk about, which again goes back to what I just made mention of. Number one, you sold them a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have they done anything to the house? Have you made any improvements to the house? Did you paint the house? How's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a real estate agent that was like, I don't like calling my past clients because I'm afraid that they're going to tell me that something went wrong with the house and they're going to try to blame it on me. And that to me is like, I'm always calling to search for a problem that I can fix.
There you go.
Because if there's a problem and I fix it, that's value. 100%. Even if it's something as simple as like, hey, have you made any improvements? Have you done any? Well, actually, we're going to have to get a new roof. We bought the house. We knew the roof was old, but we're going to have to get a new roof. Great. Have you gotten any quotes for a new roof? Have you contacted your insurance company about the possibility of getting insurance to cover it? They're like, no. I'm like, let me take care of it. And now what am I doing? I'm contacting my roofing referral partners. They're like, thanks, Matt. Wow, that's amazing. I'm contacting the insurance companies. I'm saying, hey, what are our options? Or better yet, contacting their insurance company, potentially making a new referral partner. Like, it's not rocket science.
You're just looking for problems to solve, ultimately.
Correct.
For people that otherwise don't have the time or the resources or the know-how to do that. I mean, that's what our job is, ultimately.
I think so. And here's what's really interesting is when I talk to real estate agents and I ask them, what's your favorite part of the process? What is it that you really like to do? I think as salespeople, not just real estate agents, as salespeople, what we really want to be doing is we want to be working on a deal, right? Well, if we're just working on a deal, all we're really doing is solving a problem, right? We've identified a property. We want to get it under contract. We want to write the contract, and then we want to negotiate the contract, and we want to make sure that we carry it all the way to the finish line and close the transaction, right?
Right.
What we don't like doing is we don't like generating new business. We don't like going out and being like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Call me if you need to buy or sell, right?
Right, yeah.
But isn't it a lot easier to connect with people who you already know and say, hey, what can I do for you? What is it that you need help with, right? Within reason, of course, and legitimately look at situations. Like one for me that's very easy is I constantly will contact my clients, and it's a knee-jerk reaction for me to say, hey, I need your help. I'm constantly trying to, this is a total pitch, by the way, but if it works, I never defer from it.
Yeah.
And I say, look, I am constantly trying to build a dream team of referral partners. And so I want to ask, do you currently have any financial advisor, CPA, or insurance agent that you think is just an absolute rock star that you've done business with? And do you know anybody in the trades? Have you recently had any home improvements done or need any home improvements completed on your property that, you've either worked with or have a need for? I have yet to have a phone conversation with a past client that doesn't answer one of those questions with something that is fruitful for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm either getting a name or I'm giving a name 100% of the time. And so I'm either introduced to a new person,
Yeah.
a potential referral partner, or I am generating a possible lead for a current referral partner that now I'm top of mind for.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think that roofing company that I refer that deal to is going to be connecting their clients with if they're like, hey, do you know anybody who can help me with the purchase of a home?
Mm-hmm. You.
I like to think so.
Yeah.
So these are the things that have been crossing my mind lately as we enter what I think is going to be a pretty exciting year. Anything you want to touch on as far as the past clients, referrals, and generating new business before we get into the excitement of the market?
Yeah. I mean, I think, to go back to it, it's almost like when you're talking to people, call them consumers, for all the reasons you just said. I mean, you're also kind of doing research. Like, what do people need? Like, you're trying to learn. If you have a pool of 50 or 100 people that you get to have conversations with, you get to learn about, like, what are other people's needs? What are other people seeing? Having conversations to understand what opportunities exist that I wasn't aware of otherwise. If you're not picking up the phone and talking to people, I really don't know what you're doing. Because you're not learning anything. You don't know what people need. That's how we understand what people want and all that stuff. So I think I look at it as also from like a research. I want to help people, and then in my return, I'm also understanding better how people are feeling in general. It could be about anything really,
Sure.
but usually, in real estate, people ask me about the market and the economy and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's very interesting.
I agree. And what I find is that the more conversations I have, the more people that I can, get in connection with. And I mean, let's face it, not everybody is like a good referral partner or even just a good connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've seen this firsthand. I've been doing this for years. Like, it feels really cool. Like, there's a lot of times I walk into rooms and I know so many people just because of what I'm talking about right now. Like, people are like, hey. Like, that's a great feeling. And then, calling on favors and things like that, when maybe one of my clients is writing an offer on a listing with an agent that I know, like, that's how deals get done.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people see value in that either, but that's something that has been really, really hard to try to drive home with real estate agents. Agents think they don't need to meet other agents, but
It sure helps when you know the agent on the other side.
absolutely. Absolutely. And it helps even further when the agents know the lender.
Yeah. And even if you don't know them, make it a point to
Right.
get to know them during that process. I mean, obviously there's a lot of agents here, so more times than not I'm doing business with someone I don't know, but I'm trying to get to know them and at least get a level of comfort of like, will we be able to work through challenges together?
Right.
And when the answer is, I think so, I feel a lot better about getting the deal closed.
Yeah. I mean, so I think we're in a place market-wise where we have seen enough consistency. And what I mean by that is that when we saw interest rates kind of increase, which is now 3 years ago, debatably 4, because we went from 2 to 4 and then 4 to 6 ultimately. And nobody remembers the 2 to 4 because that was like we went from super low to kind of low. But everybody remembers the 4 to 6. So the 2 to 4 was 4 years ago. The 4 to 6 was 3 years ago. And I flat out said and predicted that interest rates were not going to like tremendously reduce, and they've come down since they were at their highest point of like, mid to high 7s.
Yeah.
But even when interest rates have reduced now, I mean, we're seeing stuff that's touching high 5s. Why isn't the market exploding, George? And I think the reason is because I've been saying this all along, is that consumers, they want low rates, but in reality, what they really want is they want consistency. Because when we saw rates go from 4 to 2 in 2020, any real estate agent will tell you that 2021 and 22 was their best year. It wasn't 2020. And the why behind that is I've come to realize is that people are more reactive than proactive. When interest rates are coming down, everybody goes, let's see if they get lower. When interest rates are going up, they're like, okay, now we need to move. And the ideal situation that we can really have as real estate professionals is for things to stay pretty constant.
Right.
And we've seen consistency, in my opinion, over the last 3 years where we've watched interest rates hover from the high 5s to debatably like the high 6s. We've been dancing in that arena for the last 3 years. And I think the average consumer is finally going, all right, this is it, right?
It's
Like,
taken a long time.
it has. And I think the reason, again, is because there have been a lot of speculation that the market was, let's start with that. George, I'm going to wait for the market to crash, right? We're just not seeing that, right? We're not seeing tremendous gains in appreciation, but we certainly aren't seeing any sort of crash. And at the end of the day, I mean, with inventory being the way that it is, I can't envision there being any kind of housing market crash. There's a ton of people that want to buy, plain and simple. Is now a good time to get a deal? Sure. But are you going to get a steal? No, I don't think you will.
It's hard to find a steal.
I agree.
I had a call yesterday. Someone called me about a listing, and it was not a good fit. But I mean, I'm always, of course, I'm like, well, what are you looking for? What are you trying to do? And his first answer is, I'm just looking for a great deal.
Okay.
Looking for a great deal, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
What is a great deal?
What do you think a great deal is?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think when the consumer says that, I think what they mean is that they're like, I want to get something for way under what the market will bear.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that I've been having with agents and clients alike, more clients. It's very difficult to have because right now, one of the comments that I hear more often is, well, I'm watching all of these properties that are currently listed and they're constantly dropping their prices. They're dropping. And so, therefore, like this, properties are losing value. But then what is a hard conversation to have because the average consumer doesn't want to hear this. It's like, just because someone lists a property at X amount of dollars and it doesn't end up selling and they have to reduce the price doesn't make that house worth anything until it sells.
Right.
Right. And when we look at the data of homes that are actually selling, we're not seeing these dramatic drops in real estate values. We're just not. I mean, yeah, you can argue that there's a ton of homes that listed way too high and are now forced to reduce their asking prices.
And that's like a perception problem, honestly.
It's convenient, right? It's convenient to say, well, I'm going to go in and I mean, I have clients that with no research of their own or request of research from their agent will see a listed property at just say $500,000 and they'll just for no reason at all be like, let's start at $425. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's when we go back to the question like, well, what is a deal? And I think that the answer to that is we need to find out a property that you've identified that meets your needs, right? And then from there, we need to get a general idea of what that property is selling for. And then from there, we can identify a deal based on what's a realistic percentage under market value that you think is a deal, right? So like
doing real research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, like, I just put this meme up yesterday and I can't believe how much traction it got. It had Rage Against the Machine, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Okay.
And it's the Office where he's got the speaker.
Oh, yeah.
And it literally says like me telling my client that all of the comps support this price, yet you want to come in like $100,000 under list. Like this doesn't make sense. We need to be at this if we want to get it. And it's fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. It's just like, and it's so true, right?
Yeah,
so like, you can show all the data, all the research, everything, and then it's like, I want to get a deal. I was dealing with this with one of the agents in my office where we ended up being able to get a brand new build secured that was over in the Mueller area that was originally listed at $685,000. We did the research, we pulled the comps and said, look, like this, they are high on their asking price. If we could get this house at or under $665,000, that'd be an absolute deal. Long story short, we made it happen. I think we got it for $668. Right? Wow. I mean, awesome. Showed the comps, everything. The client moved forward, but was kind of like, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, is it because they accepted it? Like, and that's the other piece of what I just don't understand. It's like, and he admitted, he's like, this kind of, I felt like this went too easy. It's like, they were listed at 685. Like, this was a huge reduction. We got all of these incentives, blah, blah, blah. But I want to ask you your opinion. based on what I just mentioned, as far as looking at comparable sales, identifying what a particular property that meets your needs as a client, what percentage do you feel is a deal? You personally, not like in real estate. I mean, like whether it's buying a car or what else? We just bought this expensive coffee machine and we got 10% off because we filled out the little QR code or whatever before we bought it. They gave us 10% off. Is 10% a deal? Is it 20%? Like what percentage marks a deal?
I don't know that there is a percentage that necessarily makes a deal in my mind. I don't know the answer to that, but
Well, what is it for you? You have to know the answer for you personally. If take real estate out of the equation, right? If you're going to shop for a new suit.
so there's a difference. There's a deal that maybe I otherwise wasn't going to buy that, but because
Okay.
there's such a incentive to it, now I'm thinking about buying it.
Okay.
Which that would be a higher percentage to get me to go do something I wasn't necessarily going to do. Maybe it's 25, 30%.
Do you think what percentage of buyers do you think are that buyer right now? They're not moving forward unless they're getting a deal that is going to make them move forward.
Probably a pretty decent amount.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are wasting time.
Yes. Because here's where it's met, and you said it, but because a house is listed for $500,000, that house they could have priced that perfectly based on the market. But because it's 500, the number is arbitrary. The buyer's like, well, this is a buyer's market, and all this stuff. We're gonna come in with a lower number, even though that one house right there is actually priced really well for the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. You know?
So, I know that you are typically, at least for a little while, we're pretty listing heavy. How do you combat that?
By data and conversation,
right.
and truly working through, like, asking questions and understanding, like, do you just want the best deal possible, or do you want that house? Because both of them don't usually work together.
Right.
I look at other things of, I always bring up, like, hey, that person bought that house in 2021, which if you looked at our market, I'm curious how many of the listings out there were purchased in that time frame. They're not going to be able to sell it for less than what they have it for right now. So we could continue to try to offer something less, but we know what they paid for it, right? We know how much their loan was. It's not going to happen. And I think usually when we start talking about real facts and real data and why that is a good price and what is the seller's situation.
Fuck you, I won't do it to sell me. That's when the song comes on.
Yeah. But when I work with buyers, which I have been working with more, I usually talk to them from like a listing agent's perspective. Like if I was that listing agent, I would be telling the seller, if you get an offer between this price and this price, take it all day long. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think if we come in at that range, it's going to work out. And most times it does, because I look at them like, if this is a fair price, if we get a little bit less, good for you. You can put that money in your pocket or take some concessions, whatever it is. But you're not going to come in, like you were buying cars, 30 years ago and like, oh, there's a sticker price. Doesn't matter what you're asking for it. I'll pay this for it. Mm-hmm. Right? It just doesn't work.
Well, and again, there's data to support all of these things. It's not like we're shooting in the dark here. And I like I like the analogy that you gave, because I agree with you. I think that there are a lot of buyers that are out there that aren't truly buyers. They're only in the market if they can get something that pretty much is never going to happen. And I feel for real estate agents right now that are dealing with that sort of buyer, because, let's face it, like.
But here's a question: why are you working with that person? Like,
I agree, because I'm broke.
Yeah, well, okay,
right? Like,
fair
I
enough.
know the answer, right? I know.
Fair enough.
I know some of these agents. Like, I need this deal, and I would agree with you. Like, well, it's never going to happen, right? Like, I want lots of things, but
the more I've seen the past couple of years, like people holding on to that one client or that one listing, and like they do anything to get that thing closed, and like you could tell them, this is not a real buyer,
right?
This person, or this is not a real seller. You have this listing, but based off of what's happening, this house is never selling.
You
Quit putting stuff in your Amazon cart because you're not buying it.
And then they treat you like when you say that to them, they treat you like you just told them you had an ugly baby. Like
Yeah.
well, it's like, no, this is a waste of time. I agree with you. So if hypothetically, if real estate professionals got more realistic about those types of buyers, would it be safe to say that maybe 20%, 25% of the buyers that are in the market would disappear?
Probably.
It's interesting because one of the other things that we were talking about on this podcast, and I'd like your take on this, there was a statistic that there was something like 3 times the amount of sellers than there are buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And like nobody knows how to quantify that. So
yeah,
it's a stupid.
I've been scratching my head on that.
It's a stupid stat, but what my argument to that is how many of these sellers, if you were to say, oh, I don't know how we would like set the bar, but let's just say like if you take off all of the listings that have been on market for 6 months or more, because I would debate that like if your property's been listed for 6 months, you're clearly not priced appropriately. You're not priced to sell.
Yeah, I mean, look at our average days on market. It's not 6 months.
Right. So if you remove all of the listings that are currently, on there, what does that reduce that number to? I'd say it's probably 40%.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'll get phone calls from my clients on the lending side of things, and they're like, yeah, we're looking at this property, and they bring it up. They're like, this thing's been on the market for 120 days or, 140 days. And, they're just like frothing at the opportunity that they're going to get this great deal. And I'm thinking, if they've been on the market this long, they're clearly not motivated to sell.
Or they can't sell without bringing money to the table, which I see more of than anything.
Got it. I wonder if, what are those? Are you having those kind of like short sale conversations?
Yeah, I have a short sale right now.
Where you're orchestrating it through
I'm the listing agent, yeah. And it's been a pain in the butt. So on my way here.
Let me guess, it's in a new build community.
It is a new build.
Oh, wow, that's weird. How did I get that?
Yeah, well.
Let me explain why, because for the last 2 years, I've been warning all of you, and the chickens are coming home to roost. All of you that push these clients into doing all of these seller concessions and going FHA with 6% and these low rates and everything like that, you have buried your client and you have lost a potential a return client. Well,
think about
this.
this.
Sell their fucking short sale though.
Well, yeah, you can go back for the.
You can get them that way.
Come be the hero.
Yeah.
When the builder built the home, provided the lending, has the same title, has their own title company, and they control the whole process, but they're saying, we're going to give you all this stuff. Where? No, they didn't give you anything.
Correct.
Except a bad loan.
I'm amazed at how many grown adults think that builders. I mean, I'll talk to my clients that'll say, hey, Matt, thanks for all your hard work, but we're going to go with the builder. They're offering us all these incentives, and like, this is what we have to do. And I'm thinking, how old are you? Like, did you just fucking get here?
Yeah.
Like, when is the last time somebody just gave you a bunch of free stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Never. I've never received free things, especially in the form of like something new. I've received free garbage. Like people are like, hey, I got this table. It's in great condition. Here, you can have it.
Yeah.
But like brand new stuff, you're just going to give it to me? Sure you are.
Right. Especially if you think about, on a $400,000 home, I mean, we're talking what, $20,000, $30,000 they're just writing off.
Right.
We're going to give everyone in this community $30,000 towards their house.
Where does that go?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, you financed it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went and built a brand new community right next door and offered the exact same incentives and became your competition when you need to list.
I'm going to start talking a lot about short sales because I think the problem is really bad. And I don't think anyone really sees it. Like we were just on my way here.
You're literally like making, I've been saying this for 3 freaking years. You could go back to all of these podcasts. I've been screaming it at the top of my lungs. Like, please continue.
We just, on the way here, I was on the phone with my client and the person we have facilitating the short sale. We looked at Bexar County because this home is in Bexar County specifically. If you just looked at the map of how many homes are in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure state, you just wouldn't believe it, honestly. And I'm about to, after this, I'm going to go look at it for Travis County. I'm imagining it's going to be about the same. Like there are and most of them are new builds
Oh yeah,
built by
for
the
sure.
same couple
Always.
builders, in the same neighborhood. I mean, you zoom in and there's like 6, 7 homes in a neighborhood.
Let's do a mail campaign for it.
I
No,
want
I'm dead
to.
serious because I have an idea. Number one, FHA loans are assumable, right? And
Right.
for a while there, we had everybody with an FHA loan that was trying to sell that had a 2%, and real estate agents were like, you could assume this deal for 2%. And then you go to do the assumption, and then the lender's like just dragging their feet and nothing comes. Listen, the assumption on government loans was not designed for some buyer to get a good deal. It is designed to protect the socialistic idea. That's not a bad, I don't mean that derogatory, but at the end of the day, FHA and VA is pretty darn socialistic because you're paying an upfront mortgage insurance premium on every single transaction, regardless of your credit and everything, that goes into a little pot that that basically makes everything whole in the event that a deal forecloses. So the assumable loan for government transactions was never designed so that someone could buy your home and get a low interest rate. It was designed so that someone could take over your mortgage and not foreclose. And so one of the things that, if I were a real estate agent, what I would be doing is I would be finding all of these homes in these new build communities, and I would be marketing to them that are maybe underwater or a little close, because right now, what do a lot of buyers want? They want to buy with no money down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to buy a home with 0 down. Well, guess what? If you can find a loan that isn't super duper underwater, you can assume that mortgage with no money down. And that's the actual beauty of the assumption. Granted, you're probably going to have an interest rate that's at market value. But if you want a home with no money down, go find an assumable loan right now in one of these new build communities and you can make it happen like that. I would market that. And then obviously the short sale stuff, I mean, that's a little more work for a real estate agent.
Yeah.
But if you can get these banks to negotiate to take a little bit of a haircut, unfortunately, I've seen a lot of them do the modifications before they'll actually take a haircut. But if the client's behind, they'll do it all day.
It's all about how you present the case. Just like when you're presenting to underwriters, your clients, you're trying to make the best picture for your clients. Correct. To get the best rate and terms. In the short sale world, you're trying to paint the worst picture.
Right.
And you present the house in the worst way. Like it's the complete opposite, which is really interesting. But the thing that I kind of really started to like about it is, in the event where someone needs to, like they're going to lose the house, like, and you could come in and provide a solution and help them. Like, you've earned someone's trust and respect for life. Like, you've saved a family from being they were already in a bad spot, and you've lessened the burden on them and got them out of that.
I wish there was a way I could get paid doing that, because I've been involved in so many short sales when I'm on the purchase side of things. We should think more about this.
There's thousands.
Dude, I have been talking about this for years.
People don't even realize that they're upside down $30,000, $50,000, $100,000.
But they got a $499, George. Custom countertops, homie.
What is the average duration people live in their home these days? Let's put the demographic between 30 and 40.
I know the answer.
What is it?
So people have become less transient, surprisingly, post-COVID. So the average right now, I believe, is 9 to 11 years.
Wow, that's way longer than I thought.
That's average. Now, here's the thing. And I'll do this math. I've done this so many times, but I'll never get sick and tired of doing it. So the average appreciation for home ownership in the country, and even if you want to bump that up and say that like Austin or San Antonio area is a little more insulated, is 3 to 5%, right? I think we can agree with that. So even on the high end at 5%. Well, if you purchase a property and you put down 3.5% doing an FHA loan because the builder convinced you that they wanted to give you all 6 seller concessions to buy the interest rate down, because you cannot do it with the conventional loan. And that's something we can talk a little bit about. But so now you put down 3.5%. Well, we covered the fact that FHA charges 1.75% up front for their mortgage insurance premium. Just to make my math nice and easy, I'm going to call it 2%. So where you put down 3.5%, they immediately eat 2 of that. So it's really like you only put down 1.5%, right? And then from there, you're taking 6 points and baking that in. So now you've got 1.5% minus 6 is
Negative.
4.5.
Yeah.
So the day you roll into that property, you are negative 4.5% underwater. So even at 5% appreciation, year one, you're even, if you're lucky. What's the average real estate commission in order to be able to sell a home?
6%.
6%. So now 2 years, you still can't even have a real estate agent sell your property. 3 years, you're finally in a position to where you can afford to pay an agent to sell your property and you get nothing. 4 years, maybe you will walk away with 5% appreciation after 4 years. And that's just not why we pitch home ownership.
No.
It's just not, right? Not to mention if there's any repairs or anything along those lines. So like I would say in a new build community, even in a healthy market, which let's face it, 2022 and 2023 were not.
Yeah.
And we know that now in hindsight. But in a new build, you will be lucky to be able to sell that home in 5 years.
And that's assuming that new build community is going to get 5% appreciation,
That's
which
what I mean.
I don't think it will, because they're just stacking more newer ones and newer ones. So,
And everybody says, oh, yeah, I'm going to live here for 5 years. What if you lose your job? What if you decide that what if you have a bigger family? You know, there's a lot of shit that, what if you get a brand new amazing job and you're forced to move? Right? 5 years is the number. And I don't know. I've never been a big believer in down payment assistance, first and foremost. For the record, I do down payment assistance. If you want to talk about it, I would love to try to talk you out of it. But I will do that loan for you as long as you fully understand how all of it works. I am a big believer in the assumption. You want to know down payment, go assume a home with a loan that George and I are talking about right now.
yes, please.
Go ahead and do that. That would be a way to achieve 0% down without the repercussions of some of the things that I feel are involved with down payment assistance. But yeah, it's here, it's coming, it's a problem.
It's just been like boiling under the surface for a while, and it's starting to pour out. I'm just curious if we'll see any like big class action lawsuits over it.
I don't know. I mean, the problem is like when I walk through the semantics of it and think about like, are they doing anything misleading? Are they doing anything illegal? The short answer is no. And going back to me saying like, are you an adult? Do you not understand how this works? I really do believe, because I watched I'm old enough. I watched this in 2008. And when Dodd-Frank hit and we had basically tripled our RESPA package in terms of numbers of documents, when we used to do a loan package, I mean, it was, you had your general 1003 and you had a couple different, non-discriminatory, fair credit reporting. I mean, the package in terms of pages was probably around 30 pages. Now, depending on the loan type, it's anywhere between 90 to 130 pages. And the whole reason behind it was because when we saw what happened in 2008 and banks went after people and tried to foreclose and everything, you know what the number one answer as to how consumers got themselves into that situation was?
I didn't know.
I didn't understand what I was doing, right? I didn't know. And it's like, I helped a lot of these clients. They weren't stupid people. That just became the like answer to parrot.
Yeah.
And I see no world where these builders get in any real trouble. What I have heard is that they are talking about legislation in regards to not allowing builders to package so much money into this, not because of what we're talking about, but because it drives prices up.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
but when you say package so much money into it, what do you mean?
Incentives, all this other, because here's the other issue. And here's, one of the things people are like, oh, well, we have to use their lender because they're going to give us all of these incentives. Part of it is because they are going to profit off of that loan. You know what the other part of it is? They need to make sure that that home appraises. Mm-hmm. Because, one of the things to think about is it can truly be a house of cards. And if everybody were to just say, hey, you guys are listing homes at $500,000, I would like to purchase your property for $490,000. I think that's fair. I think that's what the comparable sales in the area are. It is more advantageous for the builder to say, well, let's just sell it to you for $500,000 and give you $10,000 worth of seller concessions, because now I have a $500,000 comparable sale.
Mm-hmm.
If I sell it to you for $490,000, I'm debatably netting as the builder the same amount, but now I don't have the comps that I need to use as comparable sales for the next 10 homes in the neighborhood. This is what I was talking about in 2001. I coined the term protect the equity. And I encouraged every single real estate agent that was on the listing side that was complaining about listings not selling. I said, look, you need to stop telling your sellers that they have to drop the price. Start with incentives first. Look at what the builders are doing. They are outselling you every fucking time. They are smarter than you and they are better than you. You guys pitch yourself as these professionals. Act like it.
Mm-hmm.
And all agents would do is just drop the price, drop the price, drop the price. Now you get another listing in that exact same neighborhood, because if you're doing a good job, what do? You get referrals.
Right.
Somebody sees your sign and says, hey, George, you just sold my neighbor's house. Would you mind coming over and taking a peek at mine? And when you had that house originally listed at $500,000 and you sold it for $485,000, now you've got to turn around and tell that guy that you can't sell it for more than $485,000. Why? Because you just created that $485,000 comp, when if you would have just said to the buyers, hey, how's about instead of $485,000, we go $495,000 with $10,000 in seller concessions, your seller nets the same amount of money, but you have a $495,000 comparable comp now, not $485,000.
Right.
But everyone was like, nope, I got to drop the price. Got to pay them bills.
Mm-hmm.
Take the easy road.
I would say to that, I agree 100% with that logic. What I will say is dropping the price tends to create a bigger reaction in the market. Like, you drop the price 10 grand. Well, realistically, 15 to 25 grand to really make a difference. You're going to get a much different reaction than somehow marketing incentives. It just goes, it just like, people don't see it, like, especially if they're looking on Zillow or those sites. It doesn't stand out as much of like offering this versus the price. So
Well,
it's
let me be
harder.
clear. What I'm meaning is like during this situation where you receive an offer.
Okay.
So you receive an offer that's under your asking price.
100%.
Instead of saying, hey, let's pump in some concessions into this. I understand what you're saying. If no one's making an offer, you kind of have to drop the price.
Right.
No one's going to go, oh, wow, this house was $500,000, but now they're offering $10,000 in concessions. I agree with you.
I have even, and that's in the case where we have a contract and maybe the agent on the other side's, it's not quite clicking with them. I'll do the math for them. Like, here's this if we do the price, here's this if we do the concessions, and now we could work with it.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, this is helpful to everyone. Again, it goes back to my protect the equity. I had an agent get really pissed off at me at a meeting when I was doing a presentation on this. I was like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you know, none of my clients are going to go for that. Like, we have to drop the price. We have to drop the price. This is how I'm going to get the home sold. So, like, basically was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm thinking, this helps everybody, because even if you're on the buy side, you know, you're protecting the potential listing that you're going to have in the future, right? And frankly, I didn't learn this because I am that smart. I just watched what the builders were doing, and they've had a really good fucking run.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can hate on them, but I mean, I can't hate them.
They're selling more homes than everyone else.
For sure. Mm-hmm. And look at how they're doing it. And I've always said, I told agents, I'm like, you guys need to take a page from this. Because they're out marketing you. They're out, you know, just, what's the word? You know, just coming up with ideas and ways to sell homes.
Do you work with many investors?
Investors like who are
like flippers.
So when I deal with investors, the short answer is sometimes. Mm-hmm. Typically, when I start dealing with investors, we do a first few of their homes, and then they end up getting enough money they don't need me anymore.
Yeah, right.
That's usually what happens.
Well,
we get them started, and then we take off the training wheels, and they go.
Yeah. Well, it's ideal for them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, cash is better than financing.
What I'm trying to see is how what we've just been talking about has affected the average Joe investor who used to flip a couple homes a year, sell it, make a decent living off of it, where number one, it's harder to find a home that you could actually buy for a price, put some money into it to improve it, and then sell it, because you'd have to be really confident in your sales price to really pull that trigger. But then also where a lot of those deals, those types of homes exist, are surrounded by new construction. So I'm just curious how that market, and that's actually something I'm going to start looking into
I
more
think
this
you
year.
answered your own question. I mean, I think if you're an average Joe investor, you're cooked. You're not doing anything right now. The margins aren't there for any errors. And so if you're just the average Joe, those skinny margins are too terrifying, because
Yeah.
one thing goes wrong and you're either holding that property or you're losing money. But for the actual investors, like the real deal investors, the guys that do this full time, that, in my opinion, if you're a true like real estate investor, you're doing at least 4 to 6 a year.
Mm-hmm.
At least. Average Joe's not doing 4 to 6 homes a year.
No.
And I've always said that one of the things to be above average Joe is there's a 3-legged stool when it comes to investing. You pull out one of those legs and the chair falls over. And that's financing, that's real estate, and that's obviously the contracting, right?
Yeah, right.
So when I think of average Joe doesn't have any of those, right? So like, Ian and I have purchased properties. We do things. We own, three places now. We're talking about doing one here soon. But we have 2 of those 3 legs, right? So the room for error is a lot better for us,
Right.
because she can waive a commission, I can waive a commission, and then obviously being in this arena, we know tons and tons of vendors that we can trust, number one, and number two, within reason, can ask for favors because we have the ability to refer out.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even think I'm a big investor, but I'm also not average Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I brought all of this up is I feel like I have enough experience and know average Joe right now. There's just the margins aren't there for any mistakes, and mistakes happen, especially when you're counting on your real estate agent to price it appropriately, your lender to make sure that the financing goes through at an interest rate that's going to make sense, and your contractors to do the work on time at a reasonable cost with, no change orders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm bringing it up.
I'd rather just put my money in the stock market.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because I've talked.
If I'm average Joe.
I've talked with a couple recently, and a couple investors, and they're finishing flips, and I'm looking at it, and this is a tough conversation to have.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this doesn't work. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, number one, this is always the problem. You paid too much for it at the beginning.
Who is their agent to begin with?
A lot of times they don't have one. They're just wheeling and dealing on their own because they're sophisticated.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they're not going to pay an agent because they're going to save so much
Well,
money.
then they wouldn't pay an agent anyway, right? Usually in most cases. But then they improve it because everyone wants to make the house beautiful. And I'm like, this is way too far the wrong way.
But George, I got into this because I love design.
Yeah. Well, I love it too, but it doesn't always make you money.
Right.
You got to protect yourself. Yeah. It's an interesting market.
Yeah. Well, and again, I am super excited for this year because I truly do believe that this is going to be, for lack of a better term, a normal year. And
Have you made a prediction yet this year?
This is my first one.
This is your prediction?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
last year, I kind of said a similar thing, and truthfully, I think that 2025 was pretty damn average. And I think the only difference between this year and last year is that we're going to have the same market, but I think that the attitude of the client is a little better. I think that the attitude of the real estate and the agent is a little more angrier, and I mean that in a positive way, like, telling clients, hey, I'm seeing more real estate professionals stand up for themselves.
We have to.
Yeah.
Like we need, like, for the better of everybody.
I
We
agree.
have to be able to sit down and say, this is reality. We can't, like, I almost feel to a certain extent, at one point we had a really aggressive sellers market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time to get sellers out of it. And I don't think all of them have yet come through that.
I would agree.
But it's almost like it's completely shifted now to buyers being very, I'm going to use the word ridiculous, in what their expectation is. And our job is to kind of find the balance of, this is the market, not opinion, not emotion. This is the market.
Right. Yeah, the one thing that I'll never be able to wrap my head around is like, if you take whether you're a buyer or a seller, if you can just for a moment take out the concept that the person that is in front of you that is explaining what is going on is going to be compensated in the end, right? Like if your friend or family member, or better yet, if you went to, I don't know, like, your CPA, and they said, look, here's just the data, right? This is the data. I do not understand how people look at the data and then they're like, yeah, well, this is what we want to do, right? And what's even more mind-boggling to me is, so for example, if I didn't know what I know and had been in this industry and I wanted to sell my home, and a person came in and said, here's the data, here's what we can get for your property, here's what we think, here's what we will list at, and it will potentially sell in X amount of days. If that number doesn't suit me, then I'm just not going to list.
Mm-hmm.
This whole let's put it at this and see what happens. I don't understand that. I do not understand that. I do not understand the thought process behind that. It almost makes me wonder, because there's just I don't think, and I would love to hear what you think about this. I don't think there's anybody that does that thinks that the house is going to sell. It's almost like, well, it's free to me, and so I have nothing to lose, and so therefore, what's the harm in, other than me wasting everybody's fucking time?
Yeah,
Right?
that's what I'm thinking.
Right. No, I mean, but
it doesn't hurt me,
right, that doesn't cost me anything. So other than wasting everybody's time, why not just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, what goes through the consumer's head when they think that's a good idea? And maybe I just answered my own question. I mean, maybe sellers should be required to pay something.
You could put it in a listing agreement.
Sure. Well, and again, this goes back to standing up for, yourself as a professional. I'm finally seeing more of it, where I'm seeing people walk out of listing appointments and not listing homes. I mean, Ina just had one.
I would absolutely not.
Ina just had one where she just was like, yeah, I can't do that. And it was one of those situations where it was like, well, this is what we need to get because of the loan, not like they were being greedy or anything. And she was like, I can't do it.
It's not even close enough to work out.
It's like, when this all goes down, you're going to end up hating me, and I'm going to end up hating you because I told you that this isn't going to happen.
Maybe, to your point, real estate agents sticking up for themselves, maybe it's because the majority have now gone through a couple of those, see the outcome. It's never good for anybody. As the agent, you don't like being involved with that because you're dealing with a seller who every week you have to talk to. It's the same thing every week, because if your house is way overpriced, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
By the way, if you want to test it out and see what's going to happen, I just spoiler alerted it for you. Nothing is going to happen. And once you've gone through that a couple times, nobody wants to be involved with that. If the house isn't even close, there's no reason to do this. When someone says that to me, my answer is, you don't need to worry about testing the market or seeing what happens. That's my job. I do it every day. Mm-hmm. That is why I'm here talking to you, so that I could put together a realistic perspective of the outcome. Anything outside of what we've just discussed is probably unlikely to happen.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? I've had employees in the past where they want to buy leads, right? And we've actually had this happen with one of the teams that I was working with last year. And so I think the team lead analogy is even better. So me and the team lead will put up money and buy leads. And, it's always the age-old Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, where it's like the leads are garbage, right? Like, hey, what's going on? Why don't we have any closings? Well, the leads are garbage. It's like, wow, well, we're spending an awful lot of money on these. So if they're garbage, then we're going to stop spending our money on them. And then we stop spending the money and they're like, we don't have any leads, right? And it's like, okay, well, where do you think we should get leads from? And everyone's like, well, I don't know. And if you found a lead source, would you be willing to go 50-50 on it? It's like, well, I don't want to spend my own money. And so it reminds me in a listing or even with a buyer where it's like, well, let's just see what happens. It's like, well, hang on. I'm going to end up making an investment to sell this property at the price that you are asking, where I think it should be at this. If you're as confident as you seem to be about this selling, then maybe you should put up the money and you'll watch them backpedal like, no. It's like, so let me get this straight.
You want me to do it?
When I'm investing into this, you are like, oh, well, that's a waste. So you're willing to waste my money and time, but not yours. It's kind of...
How does that work out for me?
Kind of fucked up,
yeah.
right? Because I always felt that way where it's like, okay, so you want us to buy these leads, but they're shit. But then when we say, hey, why don't you invest in them with us? They're like, well, we don't want to buy those leads. They're garbage. It's like, okay, so we could spend our money on shit leads, but it's just, yeah.
It doesn't go the other way.
Get it.
Yeah. And I've gotten pretty good at it. Just bringing case studies in to listing appointments, where I kind of know their position based off of an initial phone call, to support, like, we do pretty quickly, like, knock that out. Like, here's all the stuff. We're not, there's enough data to support it that generally in a conversation, we get that thought out there. Because there's two ways to win here. One, you either help them understand the price and they decide to list it at that price. Great, everybody wins. Or number two, another good scenario is you help them re-strategize their plans or their financial, what they're planning to do, and realize selling the home's not in the cards for us. And if you could do that, that's a win too, because at least that person now has a new perspective that they didn't realize.
Yeah.
But don't go to another agent and then they come back and say, well, yeah, we could list the home for that. And then you're just wasting your time again.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sometimes that's what has to happen, right? And you can follow up and say, hey, how are things going with that other agent? Is the house selling? I think that's another thing that, do you do that? Do you follow, if you lose a listing, do you follow up with the client as it's listed?
I don't engage them, but I follow the listing.
See, I feel like I would engage them.
I'm not sure if you're supposed to.
But at the end of the day, you could potentially be bringing them a buyer.
That's true.
Right?
You could.
And you have their contact. So like, hey, how are things going? That's a shame that we couldn't work together on the sale, but I'm going to still actively try to find you a buyer. How are things going? Have you had any, you know what I mean?
Have you had anything happen?
Right.
No, we haven't. I have had people call me back and then come want to list with me because we should have listened to you the first time. Well, yeah. And I'm guilty of it too. I've listed homes that were overpriced, and we always end up getting back to, well, we should have just started there to begin with.
Right.
I mean, I do this for a living, It's not, I didn't make it up. I'll just say that.
It's all right.
I'm not that smart to predict it.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the other things I definitely want to cover quickly is I'm going to knock on wood because this has been happening to me for like the last 2 years. I think it's safe to say that we are in a situation where interest rates have come down to where I can almost announce it because, the moment that interest rates come down, I see every real estate agent without a license to do loans talk about interest rates, which is technically a RESPA violation, of course. And but then they go right back up, right? So we've seen things kind of holding a standard, if you will, for about 3 weeks now, which I feel like is a good sign. Depending on who you are and how much money you're putting down, I mean, we're seeing stuff in the high 5, low 6% range. And the one thing that I'm seeing a lot of is I'm seeing a lot of people that are finally starting to be able to refinance where it's making sense. Contacting my past clients, if you're in an interest rate of like 6.99 or above, it is absolutely a good time to refinance. And I'm wondering what that's going to do in terms of like the zeitgeist where, you know, people refinancing, they're having water cooler talk, they're saying interest rates are coming down. That trickles into, you know, because no one takes our advice.
No.
Right?
No.
Like, why would you listen to the lender or the real estate agent about interest rates? I think the best barometer is your father-in-law. And so when it gets to him and he's like, hey, you know, interest rates are kind of coming down, I don't think we're going to see any kind of feeding frenzy or multiple offer situation. But I am curious to see what it's going to do as far as days on market. I think that's what we're and maybe I'm wishfully thinking here. So I don't want to say like I'm usually pretty bullish if I feel confident, and in this one I don't feel super confident, but I think that we may start seeing days on market come down because I do think that clients are finally like, okay, like, you know, we're at that strike point, because a lot of people would say to me like my strike point is if we can get to something in like the mid 5s. We're basically there, you know.
It's a good balance, honestly.
Yeah. And I think that you're going to finally start seeing things pick up. And I think that sellers that can be realistic are going to not have to get, you know, run through the ringer. I think buyers can still ask for things because that'll be the first thing to go away, right? The first thing to go away when the market starts to turn is the incentives are going to go away.
Yeah, concessions will be gone.
Right. And I think that we're at a place where we have enough, you know, wiggle room that the concessions are still going to be there, but the sellers are going to not feel like they're getting raked. And that's my prediction for 26.
That's a great prediction. And I think what I've been really anxious to see is what March brings, as far as, because we don't know how many listings are going to come on, how many people are going to sell that have been backlogged the past 3 years.
Right.
And then how many new people need to sell this year. I mean, if we could keep a healthy listing count and not skyrocket, absolutely. I mean, I think our buyer pool and sales will probably go up this year compared to the past few years because it should. I mean, there's been a lot of people waiting. And if you're looking to have some more affordability, now is the time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good balance between your your potential interest rate and the price of the home and the concessions you could get. Like for a buyer, you have a trifecta right now.
I would agree. Yeah, I think it's a little better on the buy side, but again, I think that sellers are going to finally see a little less grief. I think that'd be a good
We need that.
Yeah,
We need that.
I know. My question for the quarter, I've been asking all of my real estate agents, reach out to me. What do you need? What do you need? Right? That is my goal. I want to connect with my current agents, my new agents. What do you need? Let's figure it out. I want to be involved. I want to, whether it's talking with clients, whether it's putting together client appreciation, whether it's, marketing ideas. I don't know. Let me know. What is it that you need? And I don't mean like, I need a buyer. Like, no. Okay, fine. You need buyers. What are we going to do to actively go after these buyers, or what are we going to do to get these listings sold? I want to be a part of that.
You know what I need?
What do you need?
I need what's the right word for it? I want to have somebody to talk to about ideas and things that are happening, and kind of like we're looking at a whiteboard. I don't know if the camera could see it, but like sit in this chair with that whiteboard and just start brainstorming and thinking critically about opportunities, problems, and how to solve them.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, George, because we have two ways to soothe that itch on Fridays at 10 o'clock. Everyone in this office does just that. They have what they call their little ninja group, and you are welcome to join whenever you like. And then that is the brainchild of Barbecue and Mingle. Now, we don't break out the whiteboard, but I'm definitely not against it.
The whiteboard is always a great tool.
Okay. Well, we've got a gigantic one.
I grew up in the corporate world, and like the whiteboard was the tool.
You know, it's interesting to hear you say that because I was talking about this 2 years ago when we were talking about barbecue and mingle. And what I wanted to do was start showcasing real estate agents that wanted to come in and do exactly what you were talking about. But it kind of fizzled out because agents were like, well, why would I want to give away like what I'm doing? That was one camp. Or the other camp was like, I absolutely want to do that. Come join my Lord and Savior eXp. Right?
Yeah.
Those were like the two, and both of them didn't sit well with the herd.
Yeah.
But I think you're onto something. I felt like I was, and maybe I need to revisit that because I agree with you. I mean, we do this on Fridays. Everybody sits around that conference table. Everyone's got their laptops out. We're eating delicious barbecue, and honestly, all we're doing is either telling more stories, figuring out problems, and things like that. But the one thing I will say that I'm not seeing enough of is I'm not seeing enough of what we talked about on this podcast today, and that is ways to generate new business. Like, there's a lot of problem-solving stuff going on. You know, how do I get this listing? How do I get this listing sold? Or how do I convince this buyer to make realistic offers? Those conversations are being had.
Mm-hmm.
But the conversations we are not having is, how do I get a new buyer?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get a new listing? And I want to start having more conversations like that because I think that's something that I know I'm not seeing as much of.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
I mean, that's what makes the wheel go around.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're always trying to figure out how to close the deal we do have. And I think that's why for most salespeople, you know, you always hear sales as a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's because when you're on the ride, that's all you want to focus on, when in reality, you should be focusing on making sure that there's another ride waiting for you when you get off of this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't think enough salespeople do that because they don't want to. It's like, oh, I'm so busy. I've got 2 deals going on right now. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. But like, when you're done doing all of the things that you need to do, what have you done today to generate new business? And it's like, well, I don't have time for that. It's like, no, you do.
Mm.
You do. You just don't want to. And I get it. That's the hardest part of the gig, but that's the part that, what did you say? Keeps the wheels turning?
Keeps the wheels turning. Yeah.
What else you want to cover, man?
Man, we've covered a lot. We've
Yeah.
done full spectrum today.
Yeah, this one went a little long, but it's good.
Yeah. I mean,
Be able to chop this one up real good.
real good. Yeah. I mean, this year I've kind of went 180 degrees. I mean, I've always been really focused on listings, and that was what I was searching for all the time. Over the past couple years, like, I've kind of narrowed down like my favorite types of clients and like things that, like, I guess listings was my niche, if that is a niche. But
I think it is.
Yeah, it's a general one, but like,
I think if I was a real estate agent, I would prefer to do listings,
yeah.
even in this market.
Well, the thing is, you know, when you have a lot of listings, you have a lot of conversations with frustrated people.
Sure. You are now solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
You actually serve a purpose.
You do.
You're not just opening doors. And I feel like in this market, it's a phenomenal opportunity to be a listing agent because now you have the ability to pick and choose who you want to work with.
That is key right there. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
No becomes your favorite expression.
Yeah. No, unless we do X, Y, Z.
Right.
And if we do these things, and a lot of the time, you might need to improve the house a little bit too.
Sure.
But first-time home buyers, I've been having a lot of fun.
Those are my favorite to deal with personally. I mean, that's what I really do enjoy. I don't get to do anything with listings, but I think that if I was a real estate agent, I honestly, my goal would be to do 3 to 5 listing appointments every single week, knowing that I'm probably only going to land one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then if I could get 4 listings a month, I'd use the 80-20 rule. I think I could probably close like 3 of them every 90 days, get that rolling. You're closing 10 transactions a quarter. You're doing 40 transactions a year. That's a nice payday.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of lead flow too.
For sure. And I would run buyers. I'd run buyers agents, meaning like, your first initial meeting on the buy side is with me. We look at a couple houses. If you're not writing an offer, here's George. He's going to show you the rest of them. And then when you identify something, you and I are going to go look at it before we actually write. That's how I would run my business. But what do I know?
Yeah.
But I think, especially now, like you can have the pick of the litter with these listings, because every time I talk to agents, it's so funny to me, as somebody who really only gets to capitalize on the buy side of the transaction, when I would meet with agents in like 2019, 2020, 2021, I would have agents legitimately stick their nose up and be like, I don't even want to deal with buyers. Okay. So like, you're great. Would love to work with you, but like, I don't even mess around with buyers. So you can go now. Right. And I always thought, man, it is not going to always be like this.
Yeah.
And, sure enough, I mean, what goes up must come down. And now I've talked to agents that do the exact fucking opposite, where they're like, I don't even want to deal with listings. I don't even want to go on a listing.
I just told Ina that when I walked in today.
Right. And it's like, wait a second. Like, I think there is opportunity in the listing side of things, because like I said, you're going to run more appointments, but like there's more leads to be had. And if you are who you say you are, then you're either going to convince people to list appropriately or you're going to walk. And at least you're making touches, right? Because like right now, it's like, does anybody want to buy a home? No. Does anybody want to sell their home?
Everyone.
5 hands go up, right? And we covered this. We'll bring it all the way back to the beginning. If our job is to make connections, real connections with as many people as possible, then running listing appointments right now is the easiest part of the gig.
Yeah.
But again, what do I know?
And they're fun. I love listing appointments.
I've asked agents if I could come on their listing appointments, and I haven't had anybody take me up on it. I just want to be there and, watch it go down. So if you ever want me to, if you ever allow me to come on a listing appointment, I would absolutely love the opportunity. I promise I'll just sit there. I won't say anything. If you want to introduce me as like a mentor, you can, or however, but I would really love to be a part of that. I mean, I've sold a few homes with real estate agents, so I have a general idea, but there's something about human psychology when it comes to sales that just really gets me fucking going.
Yeah. That's the fun part. Right? I don't think enough people like dive into that.
I agree.
Like actually trying to understand the situation. They come with all these things they want to say and all, all this stuff. I'm prepared for like the data side.
Right.
Outside of that, I mean, granted, I know all the things we need to cover too, but I have zero script of like how I'm going to go in. Let's see, where does this person need this to go?
Yeah, you're just having a conversation.
It's a conversation, and there's zero pressure. And if you don't like what we have to say, that's fine. I can't change it.
Yeah.
But that's the fun part, is just like creating that interaction and just seeing like, where do we go? How do we take this?
Well, because again, going back to the listing thing, if you can get in front of all of these people and do these presentations, even if you don't land them and you have the touches, you're generating a database, you're generating a drip campaign and everything like that. And let's face it, like if you can accumulate listings at the right time, which right now might be the right time. I mean, could you imagine accumulating like 15, 20 listings that are all 6-month transactions and the market starts to turn and they just start dropping?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how it works for me on the buy side. It's all about pre-approvals. It's like when I talk to a client, there's situations where people are like, we're not trying to buy until next year. It's like, let's just take a look. Let's go ahead and, run everything down. And what's interesting is I'd say, again, going back to the 80-20 rule, 20% of people, I'll have them buying a home in under 90 days. And this is like my value add to real estate agents, by the way. I tell them all the time, it's like, get me in front of your buyers, because I am very, very good at taking a tire kicking buyer and identifying whether or not this is a complete waste of your time, or I am been very successful at taking that buyer who's making unrealistic offers or not even like really getting out there and getting them out there, making a realistic offer and getting them under contract. The line is always, it just happened. Just happened. Right? Like I can't tell you how many times I've been in a closing table and they're like, it's just so crazy. I wasn't even really thinking about it. It just happened. It's like,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it did.
I know. And it's always because I'm able to uncover what the big obstacle is, which, what the biggest obstacle that I've been hearing a lot lately that is very interesting to me for a buyer?
For a buyer, what is a big obstacle? No, I could think of a lot.
That has like completely changed the mindset of the buyer. So the big obstacle is, and it's mainly the first-time home buyer, but sometimes it's not. It's because I say, listen, what do you think is the biggest mistake you can make in this transaction right now? What is if everything went sideways, what is the number one thing that you feel like, if I screw this up, I am just a loser? I say just that, right? Because let's face it, like that's why people are afraid. If homes were free, everybody would just take them, right? You would never say like, I'm not thinking about find somebody in a home or not in a home and ask them, hey, would you consider buying a home? Like if money wasn't a factor, even a person who thinks they're in their dream home, there's always a bigger
dream home,
right? So the response that I've been hearing so much lately as I've been asking this is, my biggest fear is that I'm going to buy this home and something's going to happen where me or someone else involved with the finances is going to lose their job. That's the biggest fear. And what's interesting about that, and the way that I've been able to explain that, especially to a renter, is I say, well, if you're going to lose your job, regardless of where you live, you're going to lose your job. And they're like, yeah. It's like, there's nothing that anyone's going to do about that. And they're like, correct. And so if you live in an apartment or a rental property, do you know what the foreclosure laws are? They're like, I have no idea. I'm like, if you own a home, do you know what the potential foreclosure laws are? They're like, no. So, okay. If you live in a rental property, you've got 60 days to get right, or you are out with all your shit on the street. Sheriff knocking on your door, like, get out, right? If you own a home, I've seen foreclosure proceedings take as little as a year, as long as 36 months. Now, you seem pretty responsible, right? If you lost your job, you're going to be looking for a new one, right? Oh, yes, of course, Matt, absolutely. Would you feel more comfortable knowing that you have 60 days to find a new job that makes the same amount of money or more, or a year, or up to 3 years? And they're like, wow, when you put it that way. I said, if your concern is security, you are in the most unsecure housing position that you could possibly be in right now. There's nothing worse other than living in a hotel that you could be in right now. The best position you could be in is owning a home, homesteading it here in the state of Texas, who, by the way, has some of the most strict foreclosure laws in the country. And they're like, wow, that actually makes me feel really good. I'm like, we just overcame your biggest fear.
Yep, let's go looking.
And now they're like, that's great. It's like, shit, maybe I should get, I said this during COVID when people were like, I think I'm going to put my search on hold. I think I might lose my job. I'm like, you should buy a home before you lose your job. Right?
Not only that, won't the bank potentially work with you
100%.
Through hardship and all
100%.
that other stuff? So you have options. Now, granted, if you have a good landlord, but they're only going to lose money for so long.
Correct.
They don't have as much deep pockets.
Do you know why the bank wants to work with you?
Because they don't want to foreclose?
Because it's so flippin' hard to do so. It's expensive. You have to hire attorneys. It takes a long time. So they're like, look, we want to work with you. They're not, these banks are not nonprofit. They are for-profit companies, right? And so they're not just trying to be friendly and helpful. They realize also how difficult it's going to be to get your ass out of there. That is not the case when you're renting a property. So that has been, and I encourage you when you're talking to your buyers, ask, what is the biggest mistake you think you can make right now? That is the number one answer I'm getting. The number two answer is, I'm afraid that I'm going to buy this house and then the market's going to dip down even further and I'm going to look like a fool because I paid more for my house today than what I could have paid for it a few months from now. And you know what's interesting about that? The average consumer that says that to me, I ask them, because it's almost like the same person every time. I go, you in crypto?
No.
And they go, I've got some money in crypto. Yeah. It's always a guy. And I go, okay, so what do you tell your friends when crypto's on the fucking down? Like, well, like it's coming back up. Like I didn't buy it so that I could just like sell it right away. I'm like, kind of sounds like the response I'm about to give to you about a home, buddy. And they're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Right? It's always a crypto bro that gives me that one.
That's
because
funny.
They would feel foolish making an investment that, and it's like, it doesn't matter what your house is worth until you sell it. The same as your stupid coin.
Yeah.
Right? So those have been the two objections I'm getting from buyers. The one that surprised me the most, though, was the job loss with the eviction part. Like, I guess sometimes we forget that our clients don't know everything we know, and they think, hey, I missed one payment, I'm out on the street type of thing. I mean, fortunately, there's laws for that, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
So
we can find solutions.
Let's crush it this year.
Yeah.
I think we're going to.
I think it's going to be great.
Okay.
It's a good balance year.
Well, you should start coming in here more and brainstorming with all of the other people that are the powers that be.
That office out there, that empty office has been catching my brain for a minute.
Be the best investment you ever made. I can assure you of that.
Yeah.
And at the very least, you'll get your money's worth in free food.
In barbecue, yeah.
I swear to God. That's half the reason I do it. I try to, people are like, why do you do this every week? I'm like, well, I do it for the obvious. I want my referral partners to come in. I want to feed them. I think that, out of all of the things that you can do for somebody, the most simple thing you can do is cook them a meal. Everybody's got to eat. People love food. And I've said, when you really break things down to the ridiculous, everybody does everything, no matter what, for one of two reasons: food or fucking. It's a fact.
Yeah.
It's a fact. Why, you got to really dig through the nuance of it. But it's like, why do you buy the house? Why do you da? And you go back, it's like, I was trying to get the girl.
Yeah.
Or it's and all of the things that people are like, well, I do things for my kids. I'm like, well, you got to stay alive. They're like, I do. I'm like, what requires you to stay alive?
Food.
Right? So I don't focus on the other half, but the food part we do,
You don't solve that problem yet?
I cannot solve the other problem.
But maybe if the property next door comes up for sale,
sure.
we'll put a gentleman's club.
Yeah. I can't settle that part, but you got to eat, and there's something about, they don't call it breaking bread for nothing. There's something about getting with people, and the people who are in this office, at the very least, we're going to feed you and make sure that everything you're paying, the whole reason that when I did this in Cleveland, I tried to do something similar, and I offered it for agents to come in, and, when I didn't put a price on it, it never worked. It's like one of those things, like, I think there's a lot of things that we do. It's like, if you don't, like a gym membership. Mm-hmm. If a gym membership's free, or better yet, look at Planet Fitness's business model. Mm-hmm. The reason Planet Fitness's business model works is because they get people in that are willing to pay $20 a month, and the whole gamut is that they are hoping you don't show up. And you won't cancel it because it's $20 bucks, and maybe I'll go there. Maybe because
it's not enough of a burden to worry about.
And so I learned, while trying to create this kind of workspace, that if I'm not charging an amount that is at least enough to be like, fuck, I need to go into the office, it doesn't work. But the value's there, man. The value's there with, the podcast stuff, just using this by yourself as a media room. I mean, I'm surprised more people aren't coming in here just to do rants. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think about some of the podcasters that don't even have guests on. I've done a few of them where you just kind of sit here and you run a rant and give a market update and do all of that and then just clip it out. Like, you can do that here for free. I just got 70s, bro, in the gym. That's another update.
You got 70s?
We're up to 70s now.
Wow.
I was incline dumbbell pressing 70s yesterday.
That is a big upgrade.
See? So
that's $140 worth of value.
That's exactly what I paid.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I paid. Shout out to the gentleman up in Anderson Mill. I drove up there. And he sold them to me brand new. He had like 3 sets. I'm pretty sure he owned a gym.
Yeah.
And I think that they were like, yeah, we don't need the heavier weights. Because I've identified, if you buy like weights from 10 to 100, dollar for dollar, it's like way cheaper. Mm-hmm. But then you're like, what am I going to do with like the 70s and up? Mm-hmm. And I think that's what he was doing was...
Better get a different clientele in there. Start lifting some heavy weight.
I think he was doing more like CrossFit stuff and everything like that. They're not throwing around 70s. I mean, some of the, there's always a big guy in there, but... So, all right, man.
Cool. Appreciate it.
We crushed it.
Yeah.
You got to make sure you come back on when we have the new scene going. And
I need to be here for that. Yeah, the coffee shop.
You need to be here more often.
I do.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you.